This is Albert. The only thought in Albert's mind is,
I want to see the world.
he knows the world is big and there's a lot of area to cover, but he is determined to prosper no matter how long it takes. Existence is expansive, but as long as he keeps wandering optimistically, he's sure that he will achieve his goal. All he wants to do is see the beauty offered to him by the universe, not critique it, not understand it, but admire it. For if he knows anything, it's that there is much to admire. He is eager to begin his journey across the earth and its multitudes. The planet's vast surface and great age grants its residents much to see and plenty to do. So very much and so very plenty. But first things first, Albert must decide where to start. He rolls some ideas around in his head until finally pitching one joyfully aloud to himself.
The park.
The park is a domesticated version of the wild, and thus must be a good introduction to the world for Albert's maiden senses. This tame patch of Mother Nature's domain, his Eden. Albert enters the park, and his senses absorb all that the land has to offer. The wind creates ripples in the soft grass and updrafts toward the leaves in the trees, picking a few from the branches' gentle hold and sending them quietly to the ground. Birds defy the earth and soar to the sun, sneaking in and out of the wispy white clouds. Bundles of dainty flowers bounce as bees bumble from petal to petal in search of that sweet pollen powder. Amidst admiring the dandelions who force their way through the dry cracks in the pathway, Albert is startled by an unseen noise. It repeats itself, and he turns in its direction. The sound repeats once more as he narrows in on its source, which is a person.
Hey,
They shout. A greeting! How lovely! Albert politely acknowledges the stranger with an enthusiastically cordial,
hello.
but before Albert can introduce himself, the person yells again.
Get out of here.
They seem upset with him, but he hasn't done anything wrong.
I'm sorry. Is this your park?
It seems unlikely to Albert that a person could own a space. But why else would they be angry with him?
It's more mine than yours, you freak.
They respond with hostility. Freak. That's a new term. And it doesn't seem a very kind one. During Albert's state of confusion, the person yells again.
I said leave before I make you.
That sounds like a threat. Albert had never imagined being threatened, especially for no reason. Violence is not at all a subject that interests him. He runs from the park without smelling a single daisy, afraid, bewildered, and sad to not have completed his visit to the park. He figures he can always go back and begins to think of other places to visit in the meantime. He walks along the dirty city street until he has an idea.
The beach.
He exclaims. He doesn't quite know the location of the beach, but following the light scent of salt water and the distant sound of crashing waves, he intends to find his way. Albert ducks and dodges all of the countless obstacles littered in the man-made metal mess called downtown, on his way to find where the land meets the sea and the sea meets the sky. He is nearly thrown off track each time a horn honks or a rumbling engine revs, but he braves the sharp edges of urban engineering and gets the beach in his crosshairs. Without taking his eyes off of it, he bolts toward its grainy embrace. Albert walks across the hot beige sand until the loose ground turns harder and colder and wet. He pauses to take it all in. The clear and cool water rushes over his feet and gets darker until the distant navy blue collides with the sky's softer tone. The strong yellow sun glints off the active water, and the crashing tides turn white upon themselves. The coast was, is, and will be ever changing, no matter how minuscule. The current runs up onto the sand and drags a few granules away with it, but it comes back just as quickly to replace them. Albert sees a small gray bug bury itself as the water ebbs. When the sea repeats its action, the bug is pulled bare in the open, but burrows its way right back down, only to be misplaced again seconds later. Albert pokes at it, impressed by its humble resilience against the much mightier ocean. But before he can look too closely at the seagulls flying among the vast atmosphere, he feels something painful connect with his back. He turns and looks down to find a crumpled tube of metal with a hole in one end. As he picks it up and wonders how something as unnatural as this could have found itself hurtling toward him, another one lands on the ground near his feet. He looks in the direction from which it came and sees a group of people, some of whom are holding more small objects. Several folks with sinister expressions eye him up and down. Confused, Albert says,
Hello?
Without a friendly word, one of the members throws a plastic bottle at him. It hurts more than the thin metal and leaves him totally speechless. This seems to be the exact reason he left the park earlier, only more severe. The small crowd mumbles to each other, but soon begins to shout at Albert. The loudest of them says,
Hey, freak! Go back to the forest.
Freak? Again? He had never been to the forest, so he could not go back. But he could go there for the first time. Wanting to escape the aggressors before they produce heavier projectiles, he decides that he will run again. Over some of the shorter buildings, he sees the tips of trees and takes his leave. His floundering run over the cushion-like sand turns into a straight line toward the towering greenery in the distance. When he reaches the edge of the wood, he pauses to think back on how his day had gone so far. He thinks about the word freak and how he's heard it twice now. He is glad to finally be away from the negativity of the people, but he worries about what may lie ahead. Would it be any different in the forest than it was in the city? It would make logical sense for this pattern of poor interactions to continue into the future. Why shouldn't they? His eyes water, and he quietly says to himself,
Nobody has liked me so far. What if everyone continues disliking me?
Out of nowhere, something unexpected happens.
Hola, amigo.
A small voice proclaims. He glances side to side, but catches a glimpse of bright color above him. In a nearby tree branch sits a pretty orange fox. She was listening to him from her perch on the limb. Albert says,
I don't mean to intrude,
but she cuts him off.
Bienvenido.
She says,
¿Cómo estás?
This is not the kind of answer he was expecting to hear. He tries to speak, but his words trip on his teeth and get tangled in his tongue. So she continues for him.
¿Qué pasa, vecino?
She asks. A considerate mind isn't something he knows how to respond to, thanks to his recent confrontations of the opposite nature.
Está bien, dime tus problemas. Puedo soportarlo.
She pushes on. Her encouragement gives him the confidence he needs to finally speak.
I want to see the beauty of the world, but it's hard.
He says, summing up his thoughts the best he can. Sensing his sadness, she offers to take him to the most beautiful place around, and then straight to Wiz. He couldn't believe his ears.
That sounds wonderful. Who is Wiz?
Él que te puede ayudar.
She says. This is good enough for Albert. So, with a
Vamos.
he follows the fox straight into the brush. He darts through the plants after her and imagines what wonders await them up ahead. She leads him through various spots with interesting things to see, like twisty trees, strange rocks, colorful plants, and other beautiful, breathtaking wonders of the great outdoors. She moves very quickly, so he can't stop to see everything for as long as he would like to, but he knows he is going to the most beautiful place around, so he doesn't feel down about the stuff he's passing. Soon, he can no longer hear the dreadful sounds of the city, and that makes him quite happy. The sky starts to change colors, and she speeds up even more.
Casi estamos allí y no lo queremos perder.
She exclaims. Albert agrees that he really doesn't want to miss it, so he hastens, almost passing her. The light from the sun becomes much less harsh, dimming into a soft glow. Up ahead, Albert can see an opening in the trees, and his friend seems to be heading right for it.
Lo vamos a hacer.
She yells.
Aquí. Puesta de sol.
She calls it. Albert can't believe his eyes. He looks out over the mountains and the valleys and the big river. The sun, barely peeking out over the hilltops, flushes everything with warm, shimmering color. The trees aren't green and the water isn't blue, but all of it is a brilliant gold, accented with pretty pink clouds that the river mirrors and warps into silver. Up in the sky, the airborne birds are perfect black silhouettes, as are the trees' shadows on the far-off ground. Albert sits beside his companion to take in all of the raw miracles performed by the unencumbered universe. The beach and park were great, but this is astounding. His wide eyes turn toward the fox, and then back to the scene at hand. He begins to think about his new friend and how nice she has been despite him doing nothing for her thus far. Not breaking his gaze again, he asks her.
What's your name?
She responds.
Fe. ¿Y tú?
He tells her.
Albert.
They sit silently together for a spell until the sun dips lower and the color begins to dull.
What's happening?
He asks.
No dura para siempre.
She says.
Will it come back?
He inquires, worried that was all that he would see of it.
Sí, mañana.
She reassures. Even without the sun or all its wondrous colors, he still finds the spectacle to be very pretty. Faye nudges him and begins to walk away, and remembering Wiz, Albert follows. It is soon difficult to see Faye's bright fur, and he even strains his eyes to see the ground in front of him. In mere moments, his hand is nearly invisible in front of his face. He is about to ask Faye what they are to do when it gets too dark to see anything at all when the most magical thing occurs. From the grass and the bushes and from behind the tree trunks, countless faint little yellow lights swarm as far as the eye can see. They are stunning. He touches them as they drift and spin about his fingers and ankles and all around. Faye anticipates his question.
Lampirido.
She says. Distracted by the mystical illumination, Albert sloppily but sincerely repeats what he heard her say. Faye brushes against his legs and ushers him forward. He follows her directions, and the Lampírido flow around them like a fog as they move. Albert is blissfully aware of his surroundings. All of his senses are being stimulated beyond his wildest dreams. His eyes see the beautiful forest foliage revealed by the bioluminescence of the Lampírido. His ears hear the woodland critters scurrying to and from bed. His nose picks up the pheromones from the plants and fungi. His feet smush the soft dirt, and his hands tickle the tall grass. He can't explain it, but the air tastes different in his mouth. Being away from the city is even nicer now that he is having so much fun in the woods. This is the type of thing he imagined when he was fantasizing about his journey earlier in the day. Trekking through the mountains, seeing all the sights, he's almost completely forgotten about Wiz. He barely notices when he and Faye step into a large grassy clearing with one large tree in the center blocking the sky. Faye nudges his knee and he snaps back into focus. The grass is thicker here and littered with leaves from the big tree. Its branches extend out to the tops of an unbroken ring of trees all around them, which the Lampírido refused to abandon. The moon above them tosses a few of its beams through the spaces in between the center leaves. One of her thickest beams lands on a strange figure perched near the middle of the tall tree. When Albert catches a glimpse of this character, he is dumbfounded.
Albert?
He asks the being above him.
No, es Wiz.
Faye corrects him. In the tree is an owl with owl's legs instead of a man's like Albert has. It also lacks any hands, which Albert has many of. The great bird turns toward the duo, and his eyes reflect the Lampírido's distant lights. He stares at Albert, for he has never seen anything like him. And Albert stares back at Wiz for the very same reason.
Hablas primero.
Faye urges. Albert tries to think of something quickly and insults himself for not preparing anything in advance.
Wiz, I need help.
He proclaims, hands on his hips. After a moment of waiting for a response, one never comes.
I want to see the world, but nobody seems to want me around. I would like for you to help me.
He finishes. Wiz says nothing again, and Albert and Faye begin to worry. After what seems like an eternity, Wiz speaks.
How?
He asks in a voice louder than should be possible. This is not the answer Albert anticipated.
I thought you would know.
He says nervously. He expected help like Faye had implied, but she seems just as lost as he is, and neither of them know what to do. Wiz pauses again, and time stretches on forever as they stand in uneasy silence, awaiting any kind of sign or gesture from him. All of a sudden, Wiz speaks one single word.
Leave.
This is very strange to both Albert and Faye.
Leave?
Albert asks with fear in his voice.
Perdona, Wiz, pero ¿por qué?
Faye speaks out.
I will not help this half-breed abomination. This thing is a freak. I need not explain why.
Frozen in shock, the Owlman and the fox look at one another. Faye feels betrayed by Wiz, but Albert has never felt a flood of emotion such as this and has no clue what to think.
I said leave.
Albert and Faye stumble back as the branches of the great tree begin to rustle and lose leaves. Owlbert becomes very worried of the dozens of pairs of reflective circles appearing around Wiz. A battalion of owls dive at Owlbert as he turns to Faye.
You lied. Wiz didn't help. He only made things worse for me for no reason at all.
He shouts at her.
Albert, espera!
But she is cut off by the horde of birds chasing Owlbert down the mountain. Owlbert runs from the owls as fast as he can, faster than he ran from the park, faster than he ran to the forest, faster than he ran behind Faye. Even after the barrage subsides and the owls leave him be, he never slows. He leaps over fallen branches and ducks under low hanging ones until there aren't any more. He thought he had a friend, but now he thinks himself to have been led astray. Knowing nothing else, he keeps on running out of the forest as far as his legs can go. He's never felt so poor, afraid, vulnerable, hopeless, betrayed, alone. Freak. He only stops when his appendages give out. After 2 final wobbles, his body slams to the ground face first. The pain from the fall is overridden by pure exhaustion. He lays there with muscles trembling, but otherwise still. Legs burnt out, emotions overpowering, mind rushing. He allows himself rest. Sadness soon takes over, and he begins to sob. Dirt gets in his mouth and irritates his eyes, but he just wails. Life had let him down. After some time and in between sobs, he hears a small panting from the way he came, followed by an exasperated sigh.
Albert!
It exclaims. He turns his head to the side for a better view.
Oh, bueno, estás bien. Yo estaba muy preocupada. Pensé que esos monstruos te atraparon, pero seguí tus huellas. Fuiste muy lejos, pero te alcancé.
Albert interrupts her.
You followed me all the way here, even after I shouted at you?
Claro que sí.
She says.
No está fácil, pero nunca te dejaría solo. Es muy peligroso aquí.
He pulls himself into a sitting position. After a moment, he begins to cry again. Fate knows these aren't sad tears, and that he is simply feeling happy. Happy to be cared for. She gives him a moment more before she presses up against him. He hugs her. She sheds some friendly tears of her own, for now she sees things as he does. In such a beautiful world, how could anything or anyone lack beauty? How could they stand it? Faye leans away from him and stares into his eyes as he wipes his face clean.
¿Conoces dónde estamos?
She asks. He didn't. He hadn't been paying any attention since he'd been running. He shakes his head. She gets up and lays on the ground beside him, flat on her back.
¿Ves?
She says with her head pointed toward the sky.
Estrellas.
Albert tilts his head back, and back, and back, until he too is gazing into the cosmos.
Estrellas,
he echoes. There are bad things in the world he now understands, and that will never go away. Being ignorant of these things would not make him impervious to them, but would worsen the toll they took. It is necessary to be attentive to the follies of the world, but not to become obsessed with them. The beautiful things must be acknowledged equally, but not so much so that it seems they are all that there is. The mole in love with the sky fails to see the ground he hurtles toward, just as foolishly as the robin beneath the dirt thinks his wings to be vestigial. One will certainly die, and the other will never live. Both are doomed. You will find the world's discrepancies regardless of your desire to, and it may not seem so, but kindness will afflict you in the very same way. Watch for the bad, but look for the good.